Hi everyone, thanks for coming back for part 10. In my last video, I just got finished explaining how the two sticks in Ezekiel 38, which I believe represent the Jews and the Gentiles. As you see here, that there's two sticks that are joined together, and those two sticks are Judah and Ephraim, and there's usually two different names given to represent the two houses of Israel. Sometimes it's Israel and Judah, or there's various names that are given to represent the two houses of Israel. But I believe that the word Ephraim represents the nations, and that's because of what occurred in Genesis 48 when Israel gave the blessing to Ephraim and Manasseh, and he gave the blessing of the firstborn to Ephraim, even though Manasseh was born first. And then when he explained to Joseph why he did that, he said that Manasseh would also become a people and would be great, but the younger brother would be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. And then when you go to Revelation 7, where it talks about the 144,000, let me just show you that real quick. You see that it talks about the 12 tribes of Israel who are sealed, but then right after that it talks about a great multitude, which no one could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, that stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. So you see that they stood before the throne and before the Lamb. And you have the 12 tribes, which are named first, which are sealed, the 144,000, and then right after that it talks about a great multitude who is also sealed, because they're standing before the Lamb. So they must be sealed by God's Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit is what seals people. So they obviously have the Holy Spirit, and they're all sealed. And then when you go back to the table, you see the entire host of heaven standing by Jehovah, sitting on his throne, on his right hand and on his left. And another thing that I wanted to point out is that the number 11 seems to represent two sticks in some other places in the Bible as well. And here's another example. It's in Zechariah 11, where it also talks about two sticks or two staffs. And over here in verse 7 it says, "And I will feed the flock of the slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. And I took unto me two staves, the one I called Beauty, and the other I called Bands, and I fed the flock. 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month, and my soul loathed them, and their soul also abhorred me. Then said I will not feed you. That dieth, let it die, and that is to be cut off, let it be cut off, and let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. And I took my staff, even Beauty," this is referring to Jesus, "and I cut it asunder." This is when Jesus was cut off, that it talks about in Daniel 9:26, "that I might break my covenant, which I had made with all the people." Okay, this is when the Messiah was cut off after the 69 weeks, which was in the midst of the 70th week. And it says, "And it was broken in that day, so the poor of the flock that waited upon me knew that it was the word of the Lord. And I said unto them, If ye think good, give me my price. If not, forbear. So they weighed for me my price, 30 pieces of silver. So this is obviously prophetic of the time when Jesus was betrayed, when he was cut off, and God, in a sense, he broke his covenant, but God really didn't break the covenant. He actually broke it by making a new covenant. He cut a new covenant that day, and he cut it in his own blood. So by breaking one covenant, he fulfilled that covenant and made it better. He strengthened it and made it stronger and made a new covenant, which would include the Gentiles as well. But what happened is, you'll see here, it talks about the other stick. It says, Then I cut asunder my other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. So again, it's talking about the two houses and the two sticks. And this is very confusing to try to understand. But one thing that I noticed about this is that when you have the two sticks broken, you actually have 4 sticks once again. And what happened is when Jesus made the new covenant, that is actually when Israel became blinded. So again, the brotherhood between the two was broken, and I believe this is the point where the second-born, Ephraim, actually became the firstborn. And now again you had this division between the two houses of Israel, because at first it was that Israel, the nation of Israel, are the ones who had the promise of the Messiah. They had the old covenant, and everyone else was a Gentile. But then when God made a new covenant, it was primarily the Gentiles who received the new covenant, and then Israel was in disbelief. So now it's again 2 groups of people, one that has the promise and the other that doesn't. So that the brotherhood is once again broken. But like it explains in Romans 11, those, and in Ezekiel 37, those sticks will be repaired. Those 2 broken branches will be repaired, and the 2 sticks will be joined together to become one. And that seems to be a theme throughout the Bible. And I think there's more to the number 11 and to the Jews and Gentiles, although I do believe that this actually will take place, the Jews and the Gentiles. The Jews will be redeemed, and it is at that time that we can pass from death to life, and the 2 will become one, and there will be a restoration, and God's temple will be restored, which is the church, and it will be made up of Jews and Gentiles. But the temple also refers to our individual bodies. So I believe there's more to the number 11 than just the 2 witnesses or the Jews and the Gentiles. I believe it represents more, and that actually takes me to my next table that I wanted to present that also has some imagery. And that would be this table over here, where it talks about Satan's seed. It reads at the top, Satan's seed, Obama, beast, Cain, father, Adam, and Eve. And the imagery that's created in this table looks like a strand of DNA. And you see the word seed coming up here in the pink. And then you see here in the lavender, you see the word Obama. And it looks like it's meshed in or intertwined. It almost looks as if these are twisting together to form a strand, with the word Satan, which comes up here in the red. So the seed is combining with the seed of a man and the seed of Satan, and they're being intertwined to form this DNA strand. And right here next to the strand, you see the word DNA. And this video, if you haven't seen it, it's in my videos. If you want to know more about this one, it's a very important one to watch. And let me see if I can find it. I guess I did it a while ago. Okay, it's this one over here. I had actually changed the title to Satan's Seed DNA. I had another title at first, but I changed the title. So it's titled Satan's Seed DNA, and it's actually 4 parts if you include the addendum. And in this video, you'll see how this table, which I'm not going to go over the entire table again, it matches exactly with a video that was done by Jonathan Kleck, and it seemed to confirm everything that was stated in that video. And I had actually found this table just a day or two before seeing that video, and it was after I saw the video that I was able to understand this table much better and actually search for some terms that I wouldn't have searched for otherwise that actually came up. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is this word right here, which looks like the word Manhattan. And I think once you watch the video, I think you'll see that there's no denying that even though this is not spelled like Manhattan, the way Manhattan's supposed to be spelled, I think this just shows that God uses phonetic spellings as well in the Bible codes, because this is clearly speaking of Manhattan, and you'll have to watch the video to understand all of that. But again, this is another case in the Bible codes where it seems to form a picture that resembles what is being talked about in the Bible code. And in this Bible code, it's talking about a DNA strand, and the imagery here represents or seems to be identical to a DNA strand. And I just wanted to share another table that I just pulled up probably yesterday. I was just inspired to check for this for some reason. I just thought about trying to put in the word chromosome, because another thing that I discovered from the Pentecost table is that I do believe that God does in fact use words broken up into 2 parts. There's no denying with the Pentecost table, which I'll just show that again, because since I need to open up another file to show you the table that I'm about to show you. But over here with the word Pentecost, you see that it was broken up into 2 parts, and God actually used the breaking up of the word to form the imagery, because I believe this is an exact match to the image of Mount Sinai, which is identified here at the bottom. And over here it identifies the nether part of the mountain, which is the lower part. So it's giving us the imagery of Mount Sinai, which matches exactly to the picture of Mount Sinai. And so I'm going to pause this for a second, and I'll show you the next table that I want to talk about. Okay, here's the table I wanted to talk about. Like I've said, I found several very interesting tables. I don't even know which one to present first, but for some reason I was just inspired to look up the word chromosome, and I broke it up into 2 parts. And with this table, I'll just show it to you real quick because I'm about out of time, but I'll go into it a little more in the next video. But again, you see the word seed and the word chromosome coming together to look like what's forming a DNA strand. Once again, it is starting to form a strand here, and it's talking about the beast, and it's talking about DNA, and I'm going to have to continue in the next video. Thanks.